Hello, everybody. Hey, sorry about that. I was having technical difficulties. Apparently I needed to reboot my phone because the signal, it was not picking up my Wi-Fi. And I'm literally sitting 10 feet, if even 10 feet from my Wi-Fi router. So anyways, here we are. Welcome to week 27. I'm Paula Montgomery from Desert Cat Creations, and today we are going to draw for our week 27 project, which means we are on to the second half of the year. It's hard to believe already, but we've done, 52 projects already. I don't know. There may have been one or 2 weeks in there that I didn't do anything, but we are starting with week 27. So today we're going to draw our cards, see what we're going to make this week, and then I am going to make something with the June Bargain Bead Box because I haven't touched it yet, so I want to make sure I make something something quick with it. So just a reminder, we are running our sale right now, so all of our card decks, and I will make some further posts, are 20% off. All our bead mixes are 20% off, and all our kits are 20% off. So if you've been waiting to get something, or you'd like another one, or you want to get one of your friends going, this is a great time to get something on discount. It's the first sale I've run since January, so I'm excited about that. And I am working on a new kit or two for you guys, so that's going to be exciting. I have to special order some of my crystals for this kit, so it may take a little longer, but hopefully we'll have them ready to go in early August. So, and maybe I'll be able to talk, some other people into doing a make along with me, or in the coming months or so. So, if you haven't already, please like and follow Desert Cat Creations on Facebook, Instagram, and we have a YouTube channel. And all of our videos get transferred to YouTube. They're on Facebook for 30 days, then they're gone. So if you need them after that, you're going to have to look for them on YouTube. And we have the channel is just Desert Cat Creations on there. If you happen to be over on YouTube, if you could subscribe to our channel, that would be great. I'm trying to get to, I need to get past 50 subscribers, which since I have 160 of you on 100 something on Facebook, it'd be lovely if I could get some of you to help me out on YouTube, especially since, that's where we have to keep the videos these days. But I'd like to be able to go live on both platforms at the same time, so it would save me a little work of having to move things over all the time. So, but happy to do that for you guys. As always, if you have any questions on anything, please message Desert Cat Creations, or you can send me an email. The information's all in our profile on all three of those platforms. So with that, let's get on with our drawing. All right. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that when we make our project, you guys can actually see what I'm doing, hopefully. All right. So, those of you that haven't followed us on Bead Stash Challenge is basically, it's a couple of decks of cards. Well, we have 5 decks out now. So the main deck is deck 1, which you really should have to start out. Then we have a color deck, which is all things color. We have a non-jewelry and findings deck, which is exactly that. You're making non-jewelry things like keychains, bracelet helpers, any of those kind of things. You're also making findings, and you're using findings in your projects. We have a sun and sea deck, which is perfect for this time of year. It's all things summery, beachy and summer. Think vacation time. That's what's in that deck. And then we have our latest deck, which is our Desert Southwest deck, which is all things, it's all things that are Southwesty, like think Arizona, New Mexico, some Southern California, some Texas. There's some Native American influences. There's some Hispanic influences. There's also just influences from our plant life and all that stuff around here in the Southwest. So anyways, I have them all shuffled together. You'll notice my pile is very small though. And the reason my pile is small is because I've already drawn 26 cards this year, right? So there's really 26 more. I set them aside after I draw them so that, you know, we can get through all the projects and we don't miss out on some of the things. So what are we going to make this week? We are going to make a eyeglass or mask holder. All right. And so our make the cards, those are what tell you what to make. So if you're, you know, staring at your bead stash, which I do often, and not knowing where to start, you draw a card and it can help you focus on a specific type of project, right? If you already know what you want to make, you can skip that and move on to what we call here. Hey, Janelda, I'm just getting started with the drawing. I was a little late. I was having technical difficulties, so if you got notice early and then it didn't work, I had to restart twice. So anyways, our next type of cards is use cards. So these are what things you're going to pull out of your stash to use in your project, okay? So these are any things from types of beads to finding, well, if you get the findings deck, but there are some findings in the regular deck. It might be colors to use. It might be types of projects or beads and that kind of thing. So anyways, the use cards, this is what you pull out of your stash to use in your project. So use a box clasp. You know, the universe really wants me to use a box clasp, so maybe I will use a box clasp in my eyeglass holder. I'll think about that. Use a bail in my design. All right. And use a sliding clasp or not. Okay, we're not going to use multiple clasps in our design today. So, you know what? Universe is, I'm still going to argue with the universe. I'm putting the box clasp back because it doesn't make sense with my eyeglass holder. Although, you know, I could make it work. But I'm not going to. So and we're going to use coral or spiny oyster in our design. Now that, so the sliding clasp or not, I believe, is from our findings and non-jewelry and findings deck. The bail is from our non-jewelry and findings deck, and the coral and spiny oyster is actually from our Desert Southwest deck, because Native American jewelry, they used to trade a lot and use coral, and spiny oyster is very popular in those designs. So all right, so our final card we're going to draw today is our challenge cards. Now, I forgot to say that you can draw as many used cards or as few used cards as you want. I draw 3 because I think it kind of gives me a nice level of challenge and a little combination of things. But to further the challenge, we are going to draw a challenge card. So the challenge cards are themes or a design aspect, any of those kind of things that we might incorporate into whatever we're making. And it, you know, in some ways it really helps focus you, because even with this, right, I don't really have, you know, I can pull those things out and make something and stare at them, and but, you know, maybe I want a little more to my project. So I'm going to draw a challenge card. So my mask or eyeglass or mask holder is going to be inspired by Mexican food. I'm sorry about the glare. You know, I get the shiny cards because I think they hold up a little better, but they don't show up very well in the design. So if I think about Mexican food, you know, it might be a color, it might be, you know, I might actually put something, some kind of Mexican food. So whether it's, you know, tacos or chilies, you know, the other day we did make our chili. So, you know, I could certainly use a chili in my Mexican food inspiration. So that'll give me something to think about this week. We will work on that. Now, I usually only draw one challenge card. Last week I drew two, partly because the first challenge card was exactly what I was already doing, and then so I drew a second one. Every once in a while, I will draw two challenge cards. So, like I said, it's kind of up to you how many you want to draw. You could draw multiple make cards, but obviously you're going to make multiple things now. But if you draw like a finding in here, like if you draw the like make head pins, you could draw a second make card to see what you were going to use those head pins in. So there is occasions where you might draw more than one make card. Okay. But this is what we're going to make. We will be making it live on Thursday at noon. We'll be making our eyeglass mask holder. Inspired by Mexican food. And using a bail and a knot. What did I have to make? So I have to think about this. Coral and spiny oyster. I have to use a sliding clasp or knot in my design. So we'll be doing some knotting. We're going to use a bail, so we'll see. That I have no idea where I'm going to go with that right now, so I'll tell you that. Although I do have some thoughts about the Mexican food inspirations. All right, so I have not touched this month's Bargain Bead Box, so I thought we would use deck one. And the reason I'm using deck one and not, well, first of all, I don't want to mess with my other pile, but the reason I use deck one here is that it can work with kits because it's not themed, because most of the kits come with a theme, okay? So, Bargain Bead Box, you can log on to their site and look around, but basically they send you a monthly subscription, and it usually includes gemstones, some sort of glass beads, and some findings, including chain. So it's a pretty good collection of stuff. The only thing you have to add is your stringing materials or wire. Usually you have to add findings, although this month, since they're using copper, they included ear wires, so there are some findings that came with it. But let's see what we want to make with our box this week. So, oh, I didn't shuffle these, did I? All right. So this is just the regular deck. We're going to figure out what we want to make. There's I think nine different projects in here in the basic deck. And you're gonna make a bracelet. All right. I always like when I draw the bracelet or earring card because that's what I wear the most. Now, because I'm using a set of beads that somebody else gave me, we'll draw some used cards, but we may have to put some back because we may not have what we need in the bag. It's really not a box, it's a bag, okay? All right. So it wants us to use chunky beads. I think there are chunky beads in there, so we can do that. Use links. There are links in there, or we can create our own, okay? And use crystals, and we definitely have crystals or glass in there. So all of those are possible. Now, you know, many of the challenge cards in the deck one are not like themes, but so they can work with this, but we'll just have to see. I guess I should shuffle these so I don't accidentally use something I've used recently. Whoops. And I'm dropping the cards on the floor. right, let's see. Design something with an animal theme. Actually, that works because this month's Bargain Bead Box theme. Sorry, too much stuff on my. This month's theme is Tranquil Tides, and there are some charms in here that are sea life, so I'm going to consider that an animal, okay? Alright, so let's put away these cards that we're not using, so they're not taking up room. Alright, so we're going to make a bracelet. Let's see what we have in this box to work with. Alright, so don't need ear wires. We'll think about, they did include some magnetic clasps. We'll see. See, I don't need ear wires because I'm making a bracelet, right? There are some metal beads. There's some seahorses. Some bead caps. I think I'll put those away. I'll put the pendant away. I have to show you this. I'm not going to use him in my bracelet, but I just love this. It's a little tiny glass octopus. I just think he is so cute. But he's not going to go on my bracelet that I'm making today. I'm going to save him for later. But he is an animal, right? So, all right. Let's see. So, crystals. We have some peachy crystals, and we have some peach moonstone we could work with. There's a pair of chalcedony starfish charms, but I don't think I want to use those because those will be great for earrings. There are some links in here. We may have to make our own link. There's some turtles. All right, so the seahorses and turtles can go with our animal theme, right? Got some chain. We also got some glass fish. I consider sea life animals, right? You know. All right, chunky beads, 10 millimeters. So these are only 8. All right, so we have some 10 millimeter beads here and here. So we get 2 different kinds that fit that. And like I said, links, I think, there's more crystal. So we get 3 different colors of crystal, or 4 different colors of crystal. All right, and it also has these cute little shell. These are corals. Jeez. So you know what? Those could work in my eyeglass holder. I'll have to think about that. All right, I don't think I'm going to use those. All right. So we've got, you know, a fair amount of stuff to work with here. I did pull out some of my, because this is, the metal theme this month is copper. I pulled out my SoftFlex in butterscotch. I don't think they make the butterscotch anymore, but you can buy the copper, but I have a bunch of butterscotch to use up, which is perfect for working with copper. I don't know how I got that all tangled up, but we'll fix that. All right, so we got some copper here. So, all right, so let's think first. I think we'll make our own links. Maybe we'll do a little bit of wire wrapping link to make links here. These are kind of large links for a bracelet, so I think I'll save those for something else, but maybe we could do a couple of fish links. And, you know, I could certainly dangle something else there. Let me grab my sorry, I'm looking for my antique copper wire. Alright, I do have some antique copper wire, so that'll go with it because we need to make a couple of links. Now we could make this kind of a bar link. So they look like they're eating something there, maybe. And I do have to use a chunky bead, so I either have to use, I'm going to go with these darker, these are spot jasper. So what if we made that like either side of the middle of our bracelet? And we'll make those all, so 3 links. And then we can make the rest, or we could just make 1 link and then string up the rest. That's probably easier. So I'm gonna make a link out of my big bead here. So I'm gonna use my 20 gauge wire, although we'll use 22. It doesn't need to be that thick. So to make my own link, I just need to make sure that I have a loop on both sides for something to be hooked into. So I am going to put that bead on, and then I'm going to take about 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to bend it 90 degrees. I'm going to make a loop by using my hand to flip this back over. So you have a nice loop out there with the ends, the wire ends being 90 degrees to each other. And then what I do is I grab that circle, the loop between my pliers, and you can use your flat nose or your chain nose here. And then I'm just using my hand to wrap that wire, because it's 22 gauge, so I can do it for ways, but then I need to tuck it in using pliers. I like to tuck with my my flat nose pliers for some reason. It works better for me, but use whichever works for you. Then I'm going to slide the bead down here, so I have a loop on one side. And I'm going to flip it over, and we are going to put a loop on the other side. So I'm using just the tip of my pliers there. Then I'm going to slide in the round nose. And I'm going to make that loop. See, I've got my loop again. And then I am going to grab this, and because it's still on the spool, I can easily just wrap that around. So all right, so let's tuck that in. All right, so now the question is, do I want to use Yeah, I think I should string those on just on the soft beading wire. So let's work out how long the rest of our bracelet needs to be and what beads we need to use. So we've got our 10 millimeter chunky bead. I've got 2 crystals, and I've got something designed with animals, and we've got our links. So we've hit all the points, so we can kind of do whatever we want with the rest of this. So Hillarine, we're making a little fun bracelet with Bargain Bead Box. So I think these blue crystals are gonna look really pretty with those fish. I think I'll put those away for another project. Then the question is, should I mix those blue crystals with this moonstone? Or I have 2 different sizes of crystal here. One's kind of light. That one's too light for what? All right, do you think should I use the moonstone? I mean, I could use more of these same crystals that I had, but thought I'd mix it up a little. I'm definitely going to use the blue. Do you guys like the moonstone or the peachy crystals better? Let me hold them up to the camera. Oh, lucky you, Janelle. I got mine. I didn't have a big order, so I got mine like earlier, a couple days ago. But you guys, I'm kind of leaning towards the moonstone. What do you think? I think the moonstone goes better with these crystals. I expect to see some exciting things, Janelda, after your you like the moonstone? Okay. I think we're all in agreement. We're going to use the moonstone. Yeah, let me don't think I'm going to need these spacers, although I won't move them yet. But let's cut this. Now the question is, do I want to do every other? So it's a question of, you know, do I do a pattern? Do I do something random? Oh, shells and stones for your... I got some of those shell boxes. I think those are going to be so much fun. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with them. They might be gifts, because I don't know what else you do with them other than leave them out, right? You know what? That might just be long enough. I'll use one of these we'll use one of the magnetic clasps and see how this works. All right, so let's get started. So, you know, we're using mixed techniques here. So I am going to start from one end here. Oh yeah, I love, well, I got the ones that had the clasp, not the box. Those boxes are lovely too, yeah. I got some stone boxes very similar to those shell boxes at the at one of the gem shows this year. I think I showed you guys that. All right, so I am going to then hook this to one end of our link. So let me get a couple of crimp tubes out. So we'll need 4 because we need 2 on each side. All right, so put the crimp tube on. I am using 2x2 crimp tubes along with the medium beading wire. And their crimp tubes do come in copper, so I'm using my copper ones. So, and I'm going to make this as small as I can without, you know, because I don't want a ton of space in there, but can't tell if I have my wires crossed. Oh well. And let's see. Magic crimp tube, ravioli time. So we stick our crimp centered in the divot. You have a little ravioli looking thing. You turn it sideways. And then we turn it until it looks like a bead. And you know what? That's not a beautiful bead, but sometimes the copper ones, I feel like get crushed. But all right, so fortunately I can get to two strings through there. And so I'm going to give myself like 2 inches here just in case I need to add any length to the bracelet, right? Which, you know, actually if this is half, let me actually think we're going to be good. So, all right, now I'm going to crimp the other end of this to 1/2 of my clasp. You like the copper? I think they work well, but sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they don't come out quite as round as my silver ones. All right, so I'm pushing the end of this wire back through some of these beads. I did give myself more tail than I needed in case I had in case I needed to add anything, but since I'm not, now I can push this back. And you know, you want to tighten things up. Sometimes you have to push your crimp down by hand. Now I'm gonna, you know, I want to make sure my clasp has some movement. Bracelet's not too tight. I think we're good. So we're gonna crimp that. And do our little circle here. Now when you're working with magnetic clasps, they will try to attach to your tools, so sometimes you have to finagle them a little bit, right? Alright, now I'm going to trim this. You know, always make sure you don't accidentally trim your main line. And it already attached to the other one. Yes. Oh, okay. Well, you can do a project when you get home, so. SoftFlex says it makes the best ravioli. All right. Well, it makes good ravioli. I will say that. Yeah. All right. Now we are going to do the other end. So let's see. And this is where we'll find out really if our bracelet is too long or too short, and we'll have to make all the adjustments from this end since I already closed up the other end. All right. I guess I'm probably off the screen here. I don't know why I lean over towards that way. It's probably because my light is there as opposed to my my camera. So again, I've got, you know, my couple fish. And we'll use one of our crimps. We will put it on this end. And again, we want to make this one fairly small. It's the center of our bracelet. There we go. And, you know, you want a little bit of a tail though, but because you want it just in case your crimp breaks for some reason. I've started, I will carry, I have a little set of you know, travel size tools, so I will take those sometimes because you never know when your jewelry is going to break. But if actually I shouldn't say that because I really don't repair jewelry that often. I repair it more for other people than myself. But I do like to take things when I travel, yeah, in case I feel the need to make something, or I love to, when I'm visiting other places, see if they have bead shops nearby that if I have time to go to, you know, and then I might feel inspired to make something. And let me, actually, all right, I think that's gonna fit about right. All right. So I don't need to leave as much this time as I did last time because I know I'm not gonna have to make too many adjustments. Just needs to be long enough that you can work with it. And I'm going to see if I can get this magnetic clasp to cooperate because, you know, it likes to connect to things. So we'll put this back through there. Hopefully I didn't cut it so short I can't get it through a couple of beads, but definitely fit through one. Hopefully it'll fit through a second bead. I am going to use my pliers to push this through and to grab it. All right, and you know, you have to push things. Basically, your crimp will be fairly tight, so you do have to push down. Because, like I said, you want it, you know, you want it loose enough that things can move, but not so loose that you got a lot of wire showing, unless that's part of the design you're trying to make, right? So that looks pretty tight. I think we're good. And let's squeeze that. Well, you did take your bracelet, Lorraine, which looked lovely when you finished it. I love the colors. I think you said that was Danielle. She makes some really pretty color combinations. All right, there we got our little crimp going. And we've got our bracelet. Now, let me move my tools because they're always in the way. Oh, thank you. I really like the color scheme works for me. This, I mean, not that I don't like some of the other color schemes, but I love working with copper, and I do love, you know, peachy colors. Oh, wait. And we can still, so, you know, I have some loops and stuff here. I am going to add some charms. Let's see how that. Yeah, I want to show you something on, okay. So when we look at these charms, notice this one has a loop going this way, this one has a loop going this way. So you'll have to decide if you want your seahorse to lay that way. You're going to have to use 2 jump rings to connect it. But if you're okay with it facing kind of up, then it wouldn't matter. So let me show you. So we're gonna open 1 jump ring. So remember, I do it, I put the where it opens at the top, I grab one side with 1 set of pliers, and then I grab the other side and I slowly twist. You twist, you don't pull, you twist. Okay, and we'll go ahead and put the turtle on there, and I am going to hook him on one side here, and then to close it, again, you grab both sides up near where the opening is, and you twist it back together, and I twist it back and forth a little and slightly push it towards the middle so that I get a good closure. And then I run my finger across there because I want to make sure that it's closed nice. So, all right, so again, we're going to twist. Now this one I have to put 2 on to get him to lay, because I want him to lay on his side. So we're just going to put 1 ring on there. And then the other one's going to go in here. So what I like to do, you know, when I'm doing something like this, is put them on opposite sides so that, you know, I have something on both sides no matter which way I lay the bracelet. So again, I'm putting that through that loop. Now some people, and I do it too sometimes, is if you want to add a little charm, you can always add it near the clasp, but since I had open loops in the middle, that's what I did. So, all right, so see how I've got things going in opposite directions, so either way it is pretty, you know. Then I got my fish, my crystals, and we've got our magnetic clasp. You know, as always, be careful if you're using a magnetic clasp, because they'll do things like when you go to the grocery store, you'll find it attached to your grocery cart if you're not careful. So pay attention when you're using a magnetic clasp to the fact that it may jump and attach itself to something else. But alrighty, now I feel much better that I made something out of my box, considering the new box is probably showing up this week. So, alright, let's flip her over. And thanks for joining me. That turned out to be a fun project. And you know what? You know, I'm not saying that I wouldn't come up with these things on my own, but I might not if I didn't draw the cards. You know, you just never know what, what you're gonna make, right? So that's our fun project for today. All right, I will be back on Thursday. We will be making our eyeglass or mask holder. Picking up knives and forks. I will be making an eyeglass or mask holder, and we will be using coral or spiny oyster. We'll be using a sliding clasp or not in our design. We'll be using a bail. So again, interesting combination this week. And it's all going to be inspired by Mexican food, okay? So, in case you missed the drawing earlier. So, that's going to be entertaining, right? So, yeah. So, anyways, it's all going to be interesting. But like I said, I actually do have some interesting things for the Mexican food part. I haven't quite figured out the bail, although, well, I don't know. I don't think the bail is going to be as big of a problem. I can think of how I'd use the bail. Yeah, just putting the knotting in there. That's the one I'll have to think a little harder on. But thanks for joining me, allowing me to design a project using my Bargain Bead Box, and show me what you guys are working on this week. It's June. It's a new month. It's time to get some posts and encourage your friends to show me their things and join our group if they're not already members. I know everybody's busy over the summer. You know, it doesn't matter what age you get. You haven't seen that card yet. That's from the new deck. There's some interesting ones in there, but you know, you can, like I said, that's one of those that can go pretty much anywhere, right? So I'll show you some thoughts I have. So, but like I said, we could even, you know, I could just add chilies to my design because Mexican food has chilies, right? So you never know. All right. Again, help a person out. If you haven't already liked and followed me, please do. Please follow Desert Cat Creations on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to my channel on YouTube, which is where all these videos reside after they go away from Facebook Facebook. I do tend to put them over there within a day or two just because I don't want to forget to do it, but they will stay there indefinitely until YouTube changes their policy, which we all hope that doesn't happen, right? So, as always, thank you for your support, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Have a safe week, and hopefully you'll all have time to be creative. I look forward to seeing what you're working on. See you on Thursday. Bye.